How's it going, everybody? Adam here from Coding Basics, and welcome to tutorial number 11 in my Introduction to Python series. In this video, we're going to be going over loops, specifically the for loop and the while loop. So, here's the file I already created called loops.py. I just wanted to save a little bit of time. And just to explain what we got going on here, the first line is what we discussed in the math tutorial from __future__ import division. It probably won't come into play in this tutorial. Actually, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But I make that the first line of every Python file I write. So I'm going to suggest you guys start getting in the practice of doing that. That's the only reason I put it there. And then you won't have errors. If you're doing a elaborate program, you can't figure out why your math's not working. That's just a good practice to get into. So I'm probably going to do that from now on as long as I remember to. And then the second thing I put in here was this list of strings, each of them Canadian cities. And hence, that's why the list is called cities. So we're going to dive right into it. First one we're going to go over is the for loop. And a for loop, you're doing something for each object you define in a list or in a range of numbers. And those are the two examples we're going to go over. So in this case, we're going to do for. It'll turn blue because it's a keyword. And I'm going to do for C in cities. Now, C in this case is what you call a local variable, because outside the for loop it won't be defined anymore. It will just cause an error. It's a local variable only used inside this for loop. So in this case we're saying for C in cities. C is each string in this list cities, and whatever when we press enter and indent, whatever we have indented, that's what's going to happen for each one of these strings in the list. So in this case, we're just going to type print and C. You'll remember in the list tutorial when we printed out the list, it just printed it out just like how you see it here. Square brackets, comma, separating everything. In this case, everything's going to be printed on its own line. So go to PowerShell if you're not already there, and navigate to where you have the file saved. I already do. So Python loops.py, and then enter. And there you go. Printed out each one of these cities, and you'll notice the space here because we had that blank string. So that's why there's a space there. All right. Now, when I said a range of numbers, what I mean is, this is something we haven't talked about yet, but there is a function. It's the range function. Inside the bracket, you put the starting point and the end point. So we're going to do 2, 10. Relaunch the Python file, and there you go. It starts at 2 and goes all the way up to, but not including 10. So it goes up to that number, but does not include it. So how could that be useful? Well, we could, let's just say, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in here. So say we only wanted the first 3. So we would do 0, 3. So it's going to start at index 0, 1, 2, and it's not going to include 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to print out cities at C. And there you go. Printed out only the first 3 that we had indexed. So you can, what we did first, for C and cities, you can do something for each one of the items in the list, or if you have a specific range you have in mind, this is the approach you should take. Say you had a huge list full of players' scores. You're making a game and it's just player scores. But you only want to display the top 3 high scores. Something like that. I'm just trying to give you some sort of example. So, now we're going to go over the while loop. And the syntax for that is while, and then in brackets, it's like an if statement where in the brackets is some sort of condition, a boolean, and then a colon, space, and then whatever's in here is what happens on the while loop. So let's do something. So let's go with the game analogy again. We have this variable called lives, and we'll set that equal to 5. And now in this while loop, let's just say while lives is greater than 0. Once you get to 0 lives, obviously the game's over, sort of thing. All right. Let's just say print you have plus str and then lives, and then we'll just say lives. So it's just going to print out how many lives are left. Then we'll just take 1 away from the lives. And when everything's over, so once this while loop is through, there must be no lives left. So at that point, we'll just print out game over. All right, here we go. So there you go. It printed out you have 5 lives left. That's what we started with. You have 4 lives left. 3, 2, 1, game over. You can, instead of putting a condition in here, you can also put a boolean. So in this case, we'll create a boolean called playing, and we'll set that equal to true. So in this case, we can say while playing, and then you can have if statements, you can call other functions, like multiple ways to determine if the game is still playing, sort of thing. So we'll say you have that many lives left, lives equals 1, and then we can put an if statement inside here. So if lives equals 0, then playing equals false. Alright, so in this case we have an if statement inside a while loop. You can do that perfectly fine. Alright, we're going to go back to PowerShell, run this now, get the exact same output. So that's just a brief overview of for loops and while loops. We'll probably do some more advanced stuff with them in later tutorials, but that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about now. Once again, I'd like to remind you to check out codingbasics.ca. I'm starting to upload written tutorials onto there as I have time to make them. It's usually faster to make a video tutorial than a written tutorial. So check that out. I'll also be putting stuff up on those tutorials that I forget to mention in a video, or if there's a lot of people having the same question about something, I'll clarify it a bit better on there. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.